Today we shall discuss about the physical features of India. India is a land where you find different diversified relief features. Himalayas, where the climate is extremely cold, which is covered with thick sheets of ice and the ice glaciers. When we move down towards the north, you don't find anything because it comes under the border region. When we move down towards the south of the Himalayas, you find a plain land, the Indo-Gangetic plain. And move little bit westwards, you find a very hot land, the desert lands. In the similar way, when we move towards the northeastern states, you find flooded plains. When we move downwards, you find Aravalli mountain ranges, Chota Nagpur plateau region, and move completely downwards in the peninsular part, you find the Deccan plateau region. So, on the borders of the Deccan plateau, you also find eastern Ghats and the western Ghats, the eastern coastal plains as well as the western coastal plains. So, all these together gives us a picture that India is a land which has diversified features. This diversified features made India to acquire a unique place in all the countries or in the world. Now, understanding India's geographical features, let us now call it rightly as the land of diversity. The reason for India having so many different diversified features of land or the plains, the plateaus, all these reveals for us that these all happened because of the geological formations which happened in the process of geological study. When we look at that one, after millions of years, many changes happened between the plates of the earth, the upper plates of the earth, and resulted in the formation of these higher elevated lands, the so-called Himalayas, mountains, and the lower level lands called plain lands. So now, according to the theory given by Alfred Wegener, the most accepted theory for the formation of the land masses is the theory of plate tectonics. This theory reveals that the entire earth has 7 major plates and many minor plates. These plates move towards each other, sometimes collide with each other, and sometimes they move apart from each other, forming different landforms at different places. So, in order to understand this one, what is the reason? Why does the plates move? The plates move because of the internal stress which has been present in the plates for millions of years, which make the plates to move towards the other plate. In this process of moving towards the other plates, we have different formations happening. Those are folding. The folding will happen when the two plates come closer. You find the folding of the landmass or anything which is present between that particular plates may get compressed. This compression is called folding. And then we find faulting. When we find the two plates moving apart from each other, you find the disturbance in the landmass, that is called faulting. And we also find sometimes land masses formed when there is a volcanic eruption happening, and when the volcano gets erupted outside, then automatically the entire landmass will be filled with the lava, resulting in the formation of a plateau land or a fertile plain land. Sometimes it may also form a volcanic lava mountain land also. So, all these reveals for us that the plates move in 3 different directions. One, the plates converge one over the other, that is called one plate moving above the other plate is called convergent boundary or convergent movement. The second moment, when one plate moves away from the other plate, that is called divergent movement. They are moving diversely, differently towards each other. And the third moment is called the transform movement. This transform movement will change the momentum. Like this, the plates is the basic reason for the formation of the different landforms in India. Now, let us go in detail to understand how the different landforms of India, especially the remarkable land boundary of India, that is Himalayas, which has been stretched in more than 5 lakh square kilometers, how it came into existence, what are the changes in these plates resulted in the formation of the Himalayas, then the plains, then the other landforms what we have, we shall discuss detailedly in this lesson. Let us now see how the Himalayas and the peninsular plateau as well as the northern plains have come into existence or are formed. This was according to the theory of the tectonic plates, which was described and explained by Alfred Wegener. So, he explained that the entire plates, the 7 major plates which are present in the entire landmass, which were divided like that. So, the Gondwana land and the Eurasian land plates have collided with each other, resulted in the formation of the Himalayas as well as the northern plain. In order to throw light on exactly what happened, let us look into the details now. So, the Gondwana land is comprising of the plates of the present day countries which are located are India, Australia, South Africa, South America and Antarctica together was once the Gondwana land. This Gondwana land got split itself by the conventional currents which have come towards the internal land masses reactions and broke them into the Indo-Australian plates. Now, this plate was tilted towards the northern drift and it's moving towards the northern direction. So, on the northern direction, we have the Eurasian plate, which is comprising of Asia and the European land masses of the present day. So, when the Gondwana land plate is moving towards the Eurasian plate, which is already in the northern side, so this Gondwana land is moving towards the northern plate. So, in the middle we have the geosyncline, the sedimentary rocks which are already present there, filled with the Tethys Sea, was started to get pressurized by the movement of the Gondwana land towards the Eurasian plate, which is like the Gondwana land is moving towards the northern part while the Eurasian plate is already present there, and in the middle we have the geosyncline, the Tethys Sea. So, they got it to get compressed and pressurized. So, automatically the rocks which are present inside in the sedimentary rocks, which started to get buckled up and raise up as the mountainous plains, and the water which is present in the Tethys Sea, the geosyncline procedure happened there, and it took many millions of years, and finally it proved the formation of the Himalayas. So, when the Himalayas were being formed and this land has been moved towards the Eurasian plate, finally we have a large basin, a northern flank which has been formed on the Gondwana land. This Gondwana land, large basin which has been formed, was filled with the deposits which were brought by the rivers which started to originate from the Himalayan region, and that region got filled with the fertile soil which has been eroded or brought by the soil erosion process which happened because of these rivers. So, that resulted in the formation of the northern plains. So, the Himalayas have come up with the reactions or the movements of the plates which happened between the Gondwana and the Eurasian plate, resulting in the buckling up or the compression of the Tethys Sea as well as the sedimentary rocks which are present in that, and finally a large basin has been created. The rivers which start to flow from the Himalayas brought a larger soil erosion happened, and this eroded soil got deposited in the plain lands, resulting in the northern plains. So, we have Himalayas which are made up of the sedimentary rocks and the Tethys Sea. Then the northern plains which are also formed because of the movement of the rivers which are moving from the Himalayas towards the south of the Himalayas, that is the plain lands which are filled with the alluvial soil. And when we talk about the peninsular part of India, this is the oldest part which has been formed with the igneous and the metamorphic rocks because of the volcanic activity which happened many millions of years. So, if you look at the formation of the Himalayas, these are the youngest folded mountains which came into existence for us, and even the northern plain also is very young activity, we can say, in the words of the geological experts. In the similar way, peninsular plateau is the oldest landform what we have for us. So, the active or the young parts are the Himalayas and the northern plains, while the oldest parts are the peninsular plateau region, which can be very old when compared to the Himalayas as well as the northern plains. Now, let us understand what are the major physical divisions of India, and let us see how are they important to our country and how are they contributing to our country's progress. Now, we shall discuss how the Himalayan mountains are formed. We all know that India has 6 major physical divisions: the Himalayas, the northern plains, the peninsular plateau, then the Great Indian Desert, the coastal plains, and finally the islands. All together are the 6 major Indian physical divisions. Now, the first major one, the Himalayas. The Himalayan mountains are stretched over in the form of an arc from the west to the east. So, the arc from the Indus River towards the Brahmaputra River, we have it at varied shapes, varied lengths. So, let us look into detail. The arc structure which you find in the Indian map from the formation of the Jammu and Kashmir edge, western side, towards the eastern Assam region. So, the entire length, the distance is 2400 kilometers from the Jammu and Kashmir to the Arunachal Pradesh region. And in this arc, why do we call it as an arc? Because it makes a variation in the width. The width is 400 meters when it is in the Jammu and Kashmir region, while it's moving towards the east, it is having reducing its width to 150 meters. So, the shape turns down towards there. So, 400 meters to 150 meters. And the entire Himalayas, how are the Himalayas formed, we already discussed. So, now let us look into the details of how are exactly the Himalayas. The Himalaya consists of 3 major mountain ranges. There are 3 parallel ranges of mountains. Together we call them as Himalayan mountains. These Himalayan mountains are broadly categorized into 3 major categories as per their mountain parallel ranges present there. So, the first range is a very high range, a continuous series of mountains are present here. The average height here is 6000 meters, while the world's topmost peaks in the world, that is the Mount Everest with 8848 meters, while the Mount Everest is present in Nepal region. So, we cannot consider it as an Indian mountain. So, we need to take the second mountain peak which is present in Indian land, that is the Kanchenjunga or mountain K2, which is 8588 meters tall, which is India's tallest mountain range and the world's second tallest mountain range. And we also have here continuous series of mountains which are connected as a chain. When we move on to the second mountain ranges which are present are known as Himachal. The Himachal, the average height of the mountain ranges which are present here are 3700 to 4500 meters, and in this the special feature is in this region we have the Pir Panjal range, which is a very large continuous chain of mountains. Here we don't find the continuous chain of mountains as we find in the Himadri region, and here we also find very beautiful valleys which attract millions of people towards Kashmir. We find here the different ranges of mountains also, starting with the Pir Panjal range, Dauladhar range and the Mahabharat range are the famous ranges, while the valleys are Kashmir, Kangra and the Kulu valleys are the most beautiful scenic beauties of this region. And moving towards the width, here we have 50 kilometers of width in the Himachal region. And moving on towards the last but not the least mountain ranges, that is the outer Himalayas, where their average is just 900 to 1100 meters and their width also varies from 10 kilometers to 50 kilometers, where you find here different dunes. The special attraction of our outer Himalayas is they are uncontinuous mountain ranges. They are very small. The average height is very less when compared to Himatri or Himachal. And here the most beautiful places are the Dehradun, the Kotli Dune and the Patli dunes. These dunes are another important attractions for the outer Himalayas. Now, in order to understand this much better, the Himalayas are also named according to the rivers which are presenting or passing through them. We have many rivers passing from Indus to Brahmaputra. Let us see what are they called regionally or locally. The region between Indus and Satluj is known as Kashmir Himalaya region. The region between Satluj and Kali Lake is known as Kaumoan Himalaya region, and the region between Kali Lake and Tista Lake, this did not form under Indian land, so it is coming in the Nepalian Himalayan region. Then from Tista to Dihang is known as Assam region. Dihang is not an Indian river, that's what the doubt many of you get. Dihang is the other name for Brahmaputra. When it is in the Tibetan region or in the China parts, we call it as Dihang. So Dihang is nothing but the other name for Brahmaputra. That's why we call it Tista to Dihang in the Assam Himalayan region. And from Brahmaputra, the entire Himalayas take a southward direction turn and enter into the Indian land again from Himalayas, the Nepal kingdom and the other regions. So here we call it as Purvachalor Himalayas, and in this Purvachalor Himalayas we have many hills known as Patkoi hills, the Naga hills, the Manipuri hills and the Mizo hills. These all together may also have different regional names for the Himalayas. So on a brief note, the Himalayas are stretched in the form of an arc. It covers a distance of 2400 kilometers. Its width varies from the west to east is 400 to 150 meters respectively, that is from Kashmir to Arunachal Pradesh region. It covers an entire area of India estimated as 5 lakh square kilometers. It contains 3 major mountain ranges or parallel ranges, which is divided basing on their ranges height. So the first, the highest region is the Himadri region, where the average height of the mountains is 6000 meters, while the world's topmost peaks Mount Everest and Kanchenjunga be a part of Himadri. And the second mountain ranges, that is Himachal, ranges from 3700 to 4500 meters, and it also consists of different ranges like Pir Panjal range, Dauladhar range, Mahabharat range, and it also has very beautiful valleys like Kashmir Valley, Kangra Valley, Kulu Valley. And moving on to the third major division, that is the outer Himalayas, its height is 900 to 1100 meters and its width varies from 10 to 50 meters. Here we have world famous dunes like Dehradun, Kotli Dune and the Patli Dune. The Himalayas are also known by the rivers which are flowing through them. Basing on the rivers covering the regions, they are known locally with different names, like the region between Indus and Satluj known as Kashmir Himalayan region, the region between the Satluj and Kali known as Kauman Himalayan region, Kali and Tista rivers region, between these two rivers we call it as Nepal because these two do not flow in India. So Tista to Dihang, Dihang is the other name for Brahmaputra as I mentioned earlier. It's in the Assam border, so we call it as Assam Himalayan region. And after Brahmaputra enters into India, that is Dihang, after entering into India, the Himalayas also take a southward direction turn and enter into the Arunachal Pradesh region. So here we call them as Purvachalar Himalayan region, or these are also comprising of the hills like Patkoi Hills, Naga Hills, Manipuri Hills and the Mizoi Hills. This is an overall understanding of the Himalayas. The Northern Himalayas, the second major physical division of India, which I made a flow chart so that usually you can cover all the topics which are related to Northern Himalayas. I know that Northern Himalayas is really a very lengthy topic, but yes, we need to go with that. Now, the northern plains, sorry, not the Northern Himalayas, the northern plains which are located on the south of the Himalayas cover a very wide region. It is nearly 7 lakh square kilometers. When we discussed about the Himalayas, we discussed that it is present over 5 lakh square kilometers. But here it is larger than Himalayan region, so it covers 7 lakh square kilometers and its length is 2400 kilometers, similar to that of the Himalayan length, while the width varies from 320 kilometers to 240 kilometers. So the northern plains covers a region of 7 lakh square kilometers, covering a length of 2400 kilometers, while the width varies from 320 kilometers to 240 kilometers. The northern plains is a very productive land which is very rich of the soil cover, which was being brought by the Himalayan rivers, as it is just at the foothills of the Shivalik mountain ranges or the outer Himalayas. So it has brought all the alluvial soil down and deposited it at the lower level. As we discussed earlier, when the formation of the Himalayas itself, there was a large basin which was being created and resulted the covering of this one. Ultimately, we got the most fertile plain land for India, that is the northern plains. So in the northern plains, the first major part is major river streams are present here because they originate in Himalayas and pass through the plain lands. First one is the river Indus, the second one river Ganga, the third one river Brahmaputra. These three are the major river streams which flow through our country and the northern plains region. Next, we also see that because of the river Indus, Indus has 5 major tributaries. Indus is divided into 5 major tributaries in the state of Punjab. That is the reason why it is known as Punjab. 5 rivers, in Hindi we call it as Panch, and Ab means the rivers joining together. Punjab region, where it is the most fertile region. And then moving on to understand, actually we feel when we say the name of northern plains, we consider that it is a very plain land and it is a flat land. But actually northern plains is not a flat land. It's not true. It is not at all a flat land. It has various variations of its land reliefs. First one, at the first level, the very narrow level, that is from 8 to 16 kilometers of width, where it is been brought from the rivers which came from the Himalayan region. At the foothills of the Shivaliks, we find the rough stones, the pebbled stones which got deposited there to 8 to 16 kilometers of a very narrow belt. This narrow belt is known as the Babar region. This is the first region in the northern plains, the first major landforms which we find in the northern plain part. Then when we move on down towards the Babar land, the rivers will be re-emerging out from the pebble stones downwards after they cross this 16 kilometers width land, and then they create a swampy and a marshy track, which is a very rough track of land which is present there. That is known as the terai land. This terai land has a huge forest cover and a variety of wild animals used to be present here before we got the partition of India and Pakistan. While India and Pakistan got partitioned, we got many people migrating from India to Pakistan, well, in the vice versa, Pakistan to India also. So as many people migrated from Pakistan to India, we need to provide an accommodation for them. So they have cleared these forest lands during that period. So most of the forests were being cleared when the Pakistan partition happened. So the second major landform what we have here is the Terai tract, and moving on to the downwards of the Terai tract, we have the terrace land which is upper than the flood plains, and here you have all the older alluvium deposited there, that is called the Bangar land. So the first land, very narrow belt and covered with pebble stones, that is Babar. After this Babar land, you find the re-emerging of the rivers, creating a swampy part and also making it a rough surface. So that region is called Terai, a marshy tract. And from then when we move downwards, we find a land which is elevated than the floodplains, which is like a terrace region that is having the older alluvium with it, that is called a Bangar land. And the last but not the least, the Kankar, the newer alluvium which was got deposited because of the movement of the rivers got brought it here, and this is a very fertile part. So this region is called Khadar or Kankar region. So we have four major landforms here, not the forms of the lands. Here we have fertility of the land also varying here. Babar, you don't have any fertile land. Terai is good, fertile. Bangar and Khadar both are good and fertile land. So the northern plain almost it has, except the narrow belt, it has the entire cover with the huge variety of the fertile plains, because basically it is located on the south of the Himalayan mountains, and the deposited soil alluvium which we got from the Himalayan rivers got deposited here. Let's have a brief recap of northern plains. That is, the northern plains existed in 7 lakh square kilometers. Its length 2400 kilometers. Its width varies from 320 kilometers to 240 kilometers. This is very productive and very rich in the soil cover of the entire Indian land. And here we have major river streams like Indus, Ganga and Brahmaputra. While these brought the foothills, the alluvial soil, these rivers brought the soil towards the northern plains. And Punjab is got its name because of the Indus tributaries merging into 5 major tributaries and called it as Punjab, meaning 5 tributaries joining together here. And this is a very fertile place. The entire landmass in the northern plains has been divided into 4 major parts basing on their texture and the nature of the land. The narrow belt just below the Shivalik ranges, which is having pebble stones deposited there, that is 8 to 16 kilometers of width, that is Babar. While moving on downwards, the rivers re-originate here, allowing them coming under the Babar land and re-emerge here, creating a swampy wet lands and marshy tract. When it rains, how it creates a marshy rough surface. In a similar way, that is known as a Terai, where forest and wildlife was rich before the India and Pakistan got partitioned. And later we have the terrace older alluvium, which are like above than the floodplains. There is no possibility of getting any floods here much. So this is called Bangar, while we have the new alluvium getting deposited here known as Kankar, and this is also a very fertile land, and this is known as Khadar. Overall, we need to remember that it is spread over a very wide range, and the most fertile part of India is northern plains, having 3 major Himalayan rivers flowing through this one and contributing this land to be a most fertile land and very useful land for Indian agriculture. Most of the people living in these regions live or depend on agriculture. We also have many riverine lands forming up here. The world's largest riverine land, Majula, which is Brahmaputra riverine land, is the world's largest inhabited riverine land. So that is Majula. We need to remember this one. It is a very important landmark for India in the places of riverine lands. So riverine lands, the most important one we need to remember is Majula. This was been created by Brahmaputra. This is a very fertile land and many of the people are staying here very happily. So this is the largest inhabited riverine land, that is Majula. That's we have for the northern plains.
If you like this video, please give a thumbs up. Please subscribe to our channel to get more videos on CBSE syllabus.